For people who haven't met Mochi, this is our mascot, the ruler of Mochi Land, and the biggest princess for our podcast listeners. I'm holding up my dog.
A very cute dog. You have to include the cute dog aspect. Mochi is adorable.
Yes.
Welcome to the latest episode of Two Beans and a Screen. This is the podcast, vodcast, whatever you want to call it, where we react to all of the latest content from Korean dramas. Basically anything we want to talk about, and we're excited because this week we are reacting to episode 9 of Reborn Rich. I am your host, CB. I am joined by my co-host, Qomi. And Qomi, we hit a milestone this week.
Yeah, we hit 50 subs. Thank you so much, especially to Dark Clouds for pushing us to 50. But yay, we hit 50.
This is one of those things where, like, this is a big deal to us because we started this channel because we wanted to talk about K-dramas, and now here we are with 50 subs. We're not even done Reborn Rich yet, so I'm excited to see where this channel would go. Let us know what you guys would like to see on the channel in the future, and if you haven't already and you're watching this, make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you can see everything that we do in the future and other dramas that we might react to. All right, let's jump right into it, Qomi, because we have a lot to talk about, as always, because Reborn Rich does not slow down. They just keep throwing more and more and more at us, and this episode is no exception. Let's dive in with Y2K.
Yo, we are finally in the year 2000. We thought we were in the year 2000 so long ago already.
I know. The timeline on this show I'm never quite clear on, and even in this episode, they jump, what is it, 7 months?
Yes, they jumped to July 2000, but which is also a big jump from the previous episode because we were still in 1998 or something. Yeah, so quick jump. That means Jin Do-Jun graduated from law school now, right?
He is a graduate of law school. Yeah. Because the chairman asked him, "Oh, what would you like as your graduation gift?" And we see.
Oh my god! I didn't even click when he said that. I just thought it's like a future gift or something. But he graduated. Yeah.
I feel like they underplayed a lot of stuff in this episode that I would have thought would be super important because now there's just so much more at stake. Like, it is all about the future of Soon-young and not necessarily the small pieces of, oh, right, he graduated. Oh, right, Seo Min-Yeong is now an actual prosecutor. Like, a lot of this stuff was downplayed because so much more is happening.
Yeah, they totally could have not included the law school timeline, and I think it would have been fine because he was barely in school.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, let's start with Y2K, meaning there's a big possible financial crisis. At the time, everybody was worried that all of the computers would stop working because they would have to change over to the year 2000. Bombs would be going off, all this stuff. And we see Jin Do-Jun's brother being,
for the nuclear bomb or whatever.
Exactly. What did you think of this? Did you find it funny? Was it one of those things where you're like, yeah, it's cute?
Yeah, it was funny. I liked the weird sci-fi angles of the doomsday is coming and him panicking and freaking out. And it was so funny saying there's a prophet that said the world was going to end in July 1999, and then his mom was like, it's December, and he's like, maybe there's a time difference since they're European. Yeah. Maybe they're following the lunar calendar. I love this character.
He's the guy in 2012 who was predicting that, the Mayans, they said the world would end, He's that guy.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was a really nice way to start the episode. We always get a little bit of a 4O's family. I actually didn't even know about Y2K until probably a few years ago. Every time I heard people say Y2K, I'm like, what the heck is that? What are you guys talking about? So I like this representation of it because I had no recollection of this clearly.
I'm old enough where I do remember it, but it's I was too young to really understand the significance of it. I just remember it was my parents were talking about it. All the headlines were about it. And my parents were the type of people who were like, if something happens, it happens. But I doubt it. It's at worst, the banks will shut down for a day. And so I remember a little bit of that, but nothing specific or concrete.
Yeah.
So
Dang. Well, it was a
Yeah,
great start to the episode, and then
it
we see
was.
that it's a good segue to how Jin Do-Jun earned 10 billion won or $10 million for Sun-young by just putting an advertisement, like basically securing companies like if things go wrong, like they will pay financially or whatever.
Yeah, essentially it was like limited time insurance. So it was Y2K specific. We will offer unlimited protection for whatever, you have invested or whatever it is. And so he was able to once again, he knew what was going to happen. Nothing was going to happen with Y2K,
Yeah.
but it's the way that he did it that was actually really, really smart. If he had just said, we're going to bet against a company that's like doing Y2K insurance or something like that, that's actually very obvious. But he made a clear play that showed he was smarter than his cousins, his uncles, all of them, by making a bet against them, essentially.
And in this scene, we see Jin Do-jun and the chairman actually having a decent relationship. Like he does not hate him anymore, which is kind of weird. Because since he hates 4-0 so much, kind of just thought like he is capable of hating anyone type of thing, right? So very surprising that he has basically accepted him back in a way, even after his
Yeah.
declaration of war, saying, "I will buy Sun-young still because of you."
Yeah, yeah. Why do you think that is? Like, is it purely that he thinks he might be the future of Soon Young, and so he's kind of
Yeah.
accepted him back? Is that what it is?
I think so. It's like after he abolished the primogeniture thing, he he knows that Jin Do-jun is basically the one that is most like him. I think
Yeah.
he can accept the fact that he can own Soon Young one day by just the passing on the baton to him, or like from him like flat out buying it all. Like I think he has kind of come to terms with it, and maybe that's why he doesn't hate him anymore, which is questionable because
Oh, I was just gonna say, weirdly enough, it still feels like he's rooting against him. Like I feel like he
yeah,
wants it to be one of his sons, but I think
yeah.
you're right. It's like he's accepted that he's just part of this now.
Yeah, I think he definitely has some like tricks up his sleeves. Like he won't give it to him that easily, but
Yeah.
he has accepted him in the game. And I guess in the episode we kind of see more how like the hostility towards him still, especially when like you see it later in the episode.
Yeah. Well, and this is kind of like an intro that sets up another success for Jin Do-jun, but the rest of the episode focuses much, much more on the conflict that was set up in the last episode between Jin Do-jun and 3-0. And this after we see her decline is what I would say.
Yeah, this episode is basically just her spiraling downwards. Because when she first came into the episode, I was like, why is she so happy? Don't you have like things to be stressed about? Like, why are you not depressed anymore? You were pretty upset last episode. So, what's happening? And you see, the director Im, so her right hand woman, kind of telling her, maybe you should stop investing in the shares. And of course, she's not going to listen, right? Because the seeds have been planted that, oh, it's going to go up to 3,000 won. I mean, 300,000 won. So,
Yeah, 300 USD. Yeah. Crazy high. Like if you think about, well, they even talk about it later in the episode, their own stock for Soon Young department store goes down to as low as $15 USD. And so for something to hit 300 is unthinkable. And we see it when she's like, well, I know it's going to reach 300. It's at like 280 at that time. So
yes.
she's living large. They even say, Director M points out, she's like, you've earned more, or no, she was telling Director M, I've earned more this year than Soon-Young department stores just from that investment. But that's
Yeah.
because now we know she invested 140 million won, or no, $140 million into this one stock, which is crazy.
Yeah. She does not seem very smart.
No, she, which Jin Do-jun does a good job of pointing out later in the episode, and I think it's okay to jump ahead a little bit to talk about that because the relationship between these two has always been tense, more so than even with like his uncles, I feel like. I think she embodies a lot of what he does not like about Sun-young, because she really comes across as entitled. She was the one who embarrassed his mother. She's the one who pointed out to him that they are not the same. And now he's putting it back in her face and pointing out that you do not deserve this. You have been handed everything. And these are points he's made before, but this one felt especially poignant because he has shown her that time and again she has failed despite being given every opportunity. And even in this case, she reacts like she has been tricked by Jin Do-Jun.
Yeah.
And rightfully, he points out, I gave you all the pieces, essentially. You know, she had all the information she needed to do this correctly. She was given an investment by his company to bail her out. If it hadn't been for them, she would have already failed. Yep. She was then given information and advice from Mr. O to get out at the right time. She could have walked away. She took all the bait. She did all the wrong things, and yet she still had the confidence and, well, the gall to basically tell him that he was in the wrong. It's crazy.
Yeah, like you see her in the entire episode as well, just begging people to help her. First she begs Mr. O, and then she realizes like, oh my god, you're the one that has like put me in this position. And then she thinks that her brother's gonna help her. Turns out obviously her brother is also scum, and it's like, I'll just take your shares. Like, it's better me taking it than Jin Do-Jun, right? And later on she tries to go to her husband saying, please help me. Like, what's the point of you becoming a mayor or like being in politics when you're not even gonna help me? Like, what the heck? And his entire like code is take down the rich as well, right? Like, he is specifically targeting people like her family, and she's like, she doesn't see the picture. So what's the point of you being in politics if you don't get me out of these situations, type of thing, which is so
basically
scummy.
Saying I only married you to take advantage of you.
Yeah, and
you are my tool.
Yeah, that's what the chairman said as well. She's like, why did I let you marry that? What is it? Incompetent person. Oh yeah, like, why did I let you marry him if you're not just gonna use him? Like, this, you can totally see where her mindset comes from. And also when she goes to her father and is like, please give me 140 billion won, and he's like, I'm not helping you. You married into his family, like, so you're their problem now, which is a pretty big like I guess like Asian thing where you married into their family, we don't care about you anymore.
Yeah, well, okay, let's break down these two scenes because I feel like these are massive moments. One, because the mayor is popping off finally. He's had enough. This is the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say. And then the other scene shows where the chairman's mind is at, and he is definitely in the end game personally, and he's not afraid to call her out. So let's talk about the scene with her husband. So 3-0, well, okay. So the new data technology stock did, as predicted by Jin Do-Jun, fall. So it hit basically just about 300, and then it fell off. And because of everything going on, but be it, you know, her own obsession with the stock, the fact that they were being investigated for embezzlement because she did take the company's money and invest it into the stock personally.
Yes.
She was not able to get out in time. And so she lost all of that money. And so she's in big trouble. It means that she not only is facing an embezzlement charge, which could see her to go to prison, but on top of that, the company is basically bankrupt and unable to pay it back. She is out of money. No one's willing to help her. And so she starts going to different people, as you talked about. And so we get the scene of her going to her husband and basically being like, stop the embezzlement investigation. What are you doing? You're gonna ruin me. And yes.
Yeah, and basically, when she goes sees him, he's like, just put the money back, like, and then the charges will be dropped. But she didn't tell him that it came from Sun-Young, or like from the money that she's supposed to be paying out. Yeah. So he says, go ask your father for help. Like, what other solution is there? And like, he says something about her not she has no qualms about breaking the law, but you won't dare to do anything to upset your father. Like, that is such a accurate representation of her, where she has no care in the world, no regard for anyone else but herself, and she's just so afraid of her father. And he basically says too, "You're going to make my political career end short because of what you did. Like, fix this so like I don't get dragged down with you." And she's like, "You have to help me. Like, you have prosecutor friends because you were the prosecutor. Like, you were a prosecutor once. You're the mayor. Like, if you can't use your authority, like, why'd you waste all our fortune to get into politics?" Like, she clearly has her morals all over the place. And finally seeing him yell at her and telling her to like get her act right, she's like, "You should have grown up 30 years ago," or something. I was like, yo, good for
My
you.
favorite line is, "Go beg on your knees, and only then will I let you live as the mayor's wife."
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you see, she cannot even talk back. She is scared of him in that moment.
For the first time, like, it's not even the fact that he yelled. I feel like he's probably yelled and gotten upset before. She sees that the power has switched. She has nothing. She doesn't have money. She doesn't have her family. There's nothing she can do. And he holds all the cards, which is so good. It is so, so good.
Yes. And he also says, like, the fact that she was trying to brag about Soon-Young's power still to him, saying like, "Oh yeah, we control everything," and he says, "Good for you. What a great family you've come from. Like, you guys have no morals, and like, you guys are just terrible people."
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the second time that we hear this in this very episode. Actually, I think Mr. O, I can't
Also
remember
said,
whether it comes before this or after.
I think it's after this.
And he says a very similar line, because she is basically, saying, "How dare you? I am the chairman's daughter." And he's like, "Great, good for you. You
Yeah.
have good parents." Basically
Yeah.
saying that she's worth nothing, only her parents are. And
Yeah.
it's that, again, it's that entitlement. Growing up, she's basically been never told no, because she can do whatever she wants. She has that power. She has that wealth. Now she's being told no, and she doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, she looks like a deer caught in the headlights. She doesn't
Yep.
understand the word no.
Yes. Yeah. So the exact line was, I wrote it down here. She tells Mr. O, "Behind me is the Soon-Young Group and Chairman Jin Young-chol." And he says, "Congratulations, you have a great set of parents."
Yeah.
So savage, so good. I love it. People just calling her out left and right. With that being said, so we have these different showdowns. Essentially, she's going back to everybody that she's borrowed from. She's going to the chairman, she's going to the mayor, and again, not even financially borrowed from, but just the people who have given her the ability to do what she does.
Yes.
She's messed all of this up. This is the one area that I feel like this episode to me dragged. So we've had, I think, episodes in the last 3 episodes that are the best they've been. They kept getting better, 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 better. For me, this episode wasn't quite at that caliber. It was still a very good episode, but it just felt like so much of this was just looking at her decline. We didn't get much of the chairman. We focused so much on her downfall and possible rise at the end, but it did feel like so much of this was just watching her grovel that it was like half the episode in my mind. And that,
Yeah.
it wasn't bad. It was just, it slowed it down for me personally.
I feel like this episode was pretty predictable in general. Like, you know that the stocks are gonna fall, and it did fall. You know that she's gonna go around begging people, and she does. And, like, you know her type of character where she is so, just so entitled that she thinks she doesn't deserve this. Like, how she went to grovel to her father saying, "Everything is Jin Do-Jun's fault." And he said, "Did he twist your arm and make you buy the stocks? Did he force the pen into your hand to make you sign it? Like, how is this any of his fault?" And he's like painting out the picture to her that you are the one that chose to do all of this, yet you're still blaming other people. Like, she can't take accountability because she doesn't know how. She never grew up doing any of that stuff. And I thought that it was still a good episode because you got to see all their performances. Like, I think she's really good at playing crazy, and you can see her, like, the actors strength in this. But overall, the episode was, yeah, I mean, I still thought it was pretty good just because it was entertaining to watch her crash and fall and burn.
To
What?
me, yeah, to me, the entertainment came from the people around her. Like as you said, it was very predictable. Her kind of arc through this episode, it was, it was all the little moments that popping up. It was the mayor finally getting to have his, you know, not revenge, but his moment where he stood up for himself. It was,
Yes.
I'm blanking on her name. You told me it before. It's One
Hyunmin?
One's wife.
Hyunmin?
Sorry.
Hyunmin?
Hyunmin? Yes. She gave her an idea that we'll talk about in a bit that was really interesting, kind of seeing their dynamic for the first time. There were small moments peppered throughout that kind of livened it and definitely made it interesting. And of course, the big thing that we've been asking for a long time, Seo Min-Yeong finally has more screen time.
Eh.
And it's a mixed bag. It's definitely a mixed bag, which we will talk about in a minute. But yeah, definitely, I just wanted to throw out that not the strongest episode, but I also think this is setting up a lot for the next episodes. So excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I felt like this was a really classic K drama episode. Like, all
Definitely.
in all, like, it was still good to watch, but it was necessary for the plot. Like, we need to see all these interactions with everyone in order to set up for the next episodes, because now you can see that everyone is basically wants to cut off ties with her, and
Yeah.
at the end, the huge reveal, like, that's how they hook you for the next episode.
That's how they hook you for the next episode. Well, okay, let's talk a little bit about this because 3-0 fall from grace. She goes begging to everybody, but it also becomes clear to Jin Do-Jun that well, he sees the opportunity essentially to have the new prosecutor on the block, Seo Min-Yeong, investigate her for the embezzlement from the company. And as we see, Seo Min-Yeong has not had much success so far in her career. We find out that she's already passed her 3-month probation period with this company that she got hired on with. She was the top graduate who took the bar exam, so she's
Number
very, very
one.
talented. But she's facing very typical gender inequality.
Yep.
It's tough. I feel like I wanted more from that. They talk a lot about the gender inequality in the episode, but the only resolution we get is that Jin Do-Jun basically hands her this opportunity, and she debates it, but they never really address it properly. I'm hoping we get that in coming episodes because I feel like the gender inequality conversation is a big one, and I do hope they dig into it properly.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what you expect in the year 2000, right? Her being in a male-dominated field, the obnoxious posters of, like, oh yeah, we are fighting for gender equality, blah blah blah. And even the photo shoot that she's supposed to do for Women's Magazine is to show how women-friendly prosecution is when they won't even give her any case. Like, she
Yeah.
she just sits there and twiddles her thumbs all day or something like that. And I don't understand why, like, how they are also. I mean, I guess I can see why. It can either go two ways. Like, her dad is a really high-ranking prosecutor himself. He is famous in this world. It's either like nepotism, right, where she will get good cases because she is his daughter, or it's the other way where she's a woman. You're lucky enough to even be able to get hired from your dad's name, so just sit there and look pretty type of thing, and just show how woman-friendly prosecution is. So it can either go one way or the other. Both ways aren't awesome. But yeah, I mean, that's life, I guess, in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think I want them to address it because she has the worst of every situation. She's
Yep.
either not going to get the credit for her excellent work because it's nepotism, which clearly isn't the case because she's tried everything to get away from that.
Yep.
Or she's not going to get any opportunities, and eventually when she does get success, it's still going to be given to her father. And so
Yep.
it's like, that sucks.
Yep.
I just wish the episode, because they build it up a lot of showing her boss basically being like, no, you have so much talent. Absolutely. Go do this photo shoot. We believe in women's rights. We just don't believe in yours. And so it's this gross conversation. What bothers me is because they have not given proper screen time to her up until this point, and they haven't built out the relationship between her and Do-Jun, when he eventually comes to her, it feels kind of gross. Like, she even says, like, you are coming to me now, not as a friend, not as anything like that. You just want to use me as a prosecutor. And I feel her in that moment, because this is finally an opportunity that she can take, but it's not because she's a good prosecutor, despite what she says. And I think he means it because he knows she can become a great prosecutor because he's seen it in the future. But to her, of course it feels gross. It feels like she's just being handed something because she's the only option that he has, or that he feels like he can manipulate her. Well, of course she feels like that. You haven't done anything to show her that she is competent, that she is trusted, that you believe in her. You're just coming to her at the most opportune moment. And it just makes it feel so much worse, this relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely did not build enough relationship between them. Like, they are just so... Like, I feel like I've been conditioned, like, when I see her on screen, I'm like, oh, like, what now, kind of thing. And I feel so bad because she's supposed to be such a badass character. And they, like, when she was talking to her boss, too, when he put her hand on, his hand on her shoulder, you can see her, like, ew, like, why are you touching me like that? And he was like, oh, like, we need to show how women-friendly we are. Like, just do your best type of thing. Like, kind of, like, treating her, like, as an, like, obviously, like, as an object. And when they have their dinner, she's like, oh, are you just coming here to give me a tip? Like, we're here as a prosecutor and an informant, like, nothing more. It's like, I feel like that dinner just, like, went terrible in any direction, because, like, I guess she was also hoping that, like, he hit her up because he's interested. He wants to go on a date.
He even implies it. He's the one who implies it. She's like, oh, I didn't know you still had my number. And he's like, oh, well, you didn't change it, so I figured you were waiting for a call. That is clearly insinuating that you wanted to romantically reach out. Like, that's what he's putting out there.
Yeah, oh my god, dude, they set up their relationship so terribly. Like, how do you flip, like, it's like a flip of a switch where he's, like, acting so shy and be like, oh, I thought you were waiting for a call, and then flips to, like, her saying, you're basically just using me. He's like, why can't I do that? Like, why can't I use you, type of thing. They make him so sleazy, so quick, and it's like, I'm getting freaking whiplash watching them, because they go from, like, these, like, cute moments to the reality moments where, like, oh, he actually has, like, he actually doesn't like her, but, like, he shows that he does like her in other scenes, but then in front of her he doesn't like her. Like, I'm getting freaking whiplash. This is a terrible, like, interaction between them.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the problem, is I don't think the problem lies with her at all. One, I think both actors do a good job. Sorry, go on.
I think she also misunderstands a lot too. Like, just like, when she interprets these moments, like, she interprets that as, like, different, like, what he is trying to give. Like, he doesn't give it properly, but she also doesn't take it properly either. Like, they both just suck.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, early on when she was younger, she was, like, coy about her feelings and didn't want to admit it and would get very frustrated, absolutely. But I think over time she's been more open about her feelings, or, like, at least her intentions. And when he comes to her, he's always playing both sides. He wants to be this guy who's, like, teaching her. Like, he wants to act like this, like, higher than her kind of person, but at the same time wants her romantically. And it's very confusing. I think the problem I have with Jin Do-Jun's character right now is he's stuck in this place where in some scenes I feel so bad for him. We get this flashback we'll talk about where we see his past and what he's gone through. And in the past few episodes, we've seen all these vulnerable moments when, you know, both of his moms have gone through really tough things, but he doesn't react accordingly. He doesn't always act in a way that lines up with what he does. Like, he always does what I think is probably the right thing, but the way he shows it, the reactions, what we see from him, and this is not the actor's fault by any means, but they have him act smarmy. They have him act so overly confident in every scenario. He does not show weakness to anybody, not even Seo Min-Yeong. The one person he could probably open up to who's outside of the family, who has always been there on the sidelines, we have not had moments of vulnerability. And so every situation, even in this one where it's literally just the two of them in a private room, he still acts like he's this rich playboy who is using her. And I was like, no, just be honest with her. You've had so many opportunities. So for me, the problem lies with him and not with her. She was open to anything in this scenario. And at the end, she ends up basically saying, because he's like, as you said, he was like, yeah, why can't I use you? And at the end, she basically says, like, all right, fine. I will use you as a prosecutor to enact justice. And that to me is her recognizing the scenario. She's like, okay, there's nothing romantic here. I will do what I need to do. Just because he gave me the tip doesn't mean that I'm going to work for him. I'm going to do what needs to happen. And I respect that, because from that point on, I'm like, okay, no, she's in her badass prosecutor role from that point forward. It just really bothers me the way he treats her. And it's becoming more and more clear to me that it's his actions that bother me and not hers. She may react a certain way, but that's because he's been stringing her along since the first time they met.
Yeah, I see your point of view. I agree with some of it, but I also think he kind of plays into what she says a lot. Like, she's the one that mentions, like, oh, you're just using me as a prosecutor and you're just an informant. And I feel like he doesn't, like, I mean, she said, like, oh, we're going to split the bill because I'm not letting my informant pay for my portion or whatever. And she realizes, like, there's no prices on the menu. Like, she just ran with this saying, wow, you sure are the son of a conglomerate family. Like, you, and then she just started going off on him just by looking at the menu. And I think he kind of just takes the lead from there as well. Like, she already started egging on him for being such a bratty rich kid, and he kind of just accepts it, and he plays into the role like, okay, yeah, I am, whatever, type of thing. I'm like, you totally could have cleared the air, type of thing. Like, I don't think, I mean, yeah, they're in a rich, fancy restaurant, but I feel like he doesn't think about the fact that it doesn't have any price tags mentioning.
No, I think that's where I disagree, because I think he does this purposely. He was making a statement with that. Like, this is the guy who is so detail oriented, who thinks about everything in every scenario. He definitely thought about that. He knows Seo Min-Yeong does not appreciate those sorts of gestures. He would have taken her to a cheaper place had he not wanted to get across like that. He would have, because he's even seen it. She's been uncomfortable in past situations where he spent a lot of money on her or brought her to that club in the past. Here, it feels like he's using that to be like, I still am this person when I'm because I'm the informant. That's the relationship I'm setting up here.
I don't think he put that much thought into the room like that. Like, yeah, he is detail oriented, but I don't think he specifically picked a room just to irk her, type of thing. Like, I feel like they would have to go somewhere private if he is going to be an informant.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, like, he likes to, as much as he says otherwise, he likes to show his power. Like, he throws it around in front of her constantly. I don't know. Like, to me, it's one of the problems that I have with their relationship is he says one thing and does another. Like, the way he reacts to her and everything. In that scenario, you're right. He could have downplayed it afterwards, but he's taken her out enough times. Like, they've been together enough times. He came and spent money at her restaurant every single day. She knows he's loaded. He doesn't need to prove it yet again. I don't know. Like,
I don't think
it's
he's
weird to me
proving
because
it, though.
But that's the thing. He comes from a poor family. Like, he's been there before. The fact that he would go to a restaurant with this person for that amount of money, like, he put thought into that. We see literally in this episode, there were times that he couldn't even afford to buy rice. So yeah, it's crazy to me that he would take her here. In his old life, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's his new life now. Like, he can technically do whatever he wants. Like, that's
bothers me.
Yeah, I know
He's becoming the person he hates.
Yeah, it is infuriating, but he also is like the representation of, like, you see, like, the difference between being poor and being rich. You're like, you have the exact same mentality, but, like, you can succeed a lot more because you're rich, type of thing. So I feel like he doesn't have to go back to his old lifestyle just to prove to her that, like, he isn't the way he is because he's she obviously doesn't know about his old life or whatever, right? Like he
Yeah,
has
yeah.
nothing to prove to her that like he understands the poor or whatever. But yeah, I think, I mean, of course, like the relationship sucks. He is bad at talking with her. Think she's also really quick to jump on the train of like egging on him, and
Yeah.
he accepts it. Like he doesn't. It's so infuriating how like ugh, this is like with every show in general. Like every plot in history where a simple conversation, you could just tell them your real feelings and everything will
True.
be okay.
True.
But no, nothing is ever like that because people suck and they want to be secretive and be like, no, my pride, I can't talk about it. Like just
No,
It's
you're
really
right. You're right.
infuriating.
You're absolutely right. Like I didn't really think about it from the. They both have pride, I think, is the problem, and one of them is
Yeah.
eventually going to have to let go of that pride. And I think it's a good now that you've put the idea in my head of like he is in his new life. I wonder if we are starting to see a bit of his decline in that way. Maybe he's getting caught up in this new person that he is and forgetting a little bit of that old life.
Maybe I think that is really possible, and like the story is trying to make it seem like he's not forgetting his old ways with his flashbacks and saying how like he understands, especially the conversation with 3-0 where he's like saying she is so lucky to be in her position, a lucky chance that like no one ever gets, and she's taking it for granted. Like those moments, I feel like they're trying to make him show that his character is still humble, still down to earth, still holds
Yeah.
his core values. But like
For sure.
with his actions like this, like when like these interactions with like, especially with Seo
Yeah.
Min-Yeong, like they're going out the window, man. Like
Yeah.
it's a little all over the place.
It is because, well, and I really like seeing her character throughout the rest of the episode. We do see her actually being good at her job. We see her kind of go against him. Like she's not afraid to stand up to him if that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And there is a later scene. So let's jump back a little bit over to 3-0 because we do have this meeting between Jin Do-Jun and 3-0. And it's an interesting conversation, but it also lays out the fact that she knows that he's the one who basically reported him for embezzlement. And then eventually she actually meets Seo Min-Yeong, who is investigating her, and they have this one-on-one meeting. Going into it, she should have been terrified, but instead she goes in with confidence. So
Yo,
what
she's
happens
so
there?
smug. Basically, I mean, I thought it was kind of weird that they introduced Hyun-min back in this
Mm-hmm.
episode, especially because we don't see 1-1. So it's like, oh, there's a reason why she's here again, and obviously
sure.
she's playing the little informant to 3-0, saying like, oh, I'll accompany you to the prosecutor's office and everything, and then it's revealed that she tells him like, tells 3-0 that Jin Do-Jun and Seo Min-Yeong are classmates, and basically you can infer that because of the information given, obviously 3-0 doesn't feel threatened anymore. She turns the table and says, I was the victim here. They were the ones that manipulated the stocks, which also manipulated me into blah, 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 just saying everything is like their fault, and she is not the one that has embezzled money, which I guess I don't really understand. Maybe you can explain it to me a little bit better, how that gets her out of the clear, because she still ends up using Soon-Young department's stocks, right? Like she still, I mean, the money from the department store, like she uses Soon-Young's money to invest, and then that's why she lost all her money as well. Like how does that get her out of the clear of her embezzlement charges?
So essentially, they haven't been able to prove yet that she has actually embezzled the money. They are on the path to it, and they're on the path to proving it. But she's saying this was a false tip in the first place. And basically what she's doing, she's buying time to make sure that there's stuff set up to prove that it's not embezzlement. So later on, we actually see
With
that
the Soon-Young Deco or whatever, decor.
yeah, exactly. So there's this like company that they are paying money into, and Seo Min-Yeong thought that it was a paper company, which was like a false trail. Essentially, they're just sending money into it, and it's going out the other end to be invested as, you know, private equity. But in this case, what she's saying is you've been given a false tip, and he's the one who's playing you. Basically, by you making this public, our stock tanked, and that meant that he would then take over those 30% of the shares And he now has the ability to get even more shares at a very cheap rate and basically do a hostile takeover of the company. You're the one who caused this to happen. You're on the line for this. You should be investigating Jin Do-Jun and not me. And so when that phone call comes through, that's the moment where she goes, wait, so it can't be embezzlement because we investigated this company. It's legit. Obviously, that was just one trail, but it means that she has to open up the investigation on the other side as well and start doubting the actual validity of his tip that there was embezzlement. That's the gist of it anyways.
Yeah.
So after that meeting happens, and basically she walks out of there with full confidence, 3-0, feeling smug. She's like, all right, well, we're in the clear. And she goes back to setting everything up and clearing her trail. We have the follow-up meeting between Seo Min-Yeong and Jin Do-Jun. And they're walking, and she basically calls him out as a liar, which I appreciate. And I really liked this scene because while it was playful and she's playing it as we're just friends hanging out, and I'm telling you this, you know, in confidence, maybe I'm not good enough yet. But she calls him out, being like, So Taiji and has not made a comeback. You lied to me. You told me 4 episodes ago that he would be making a comeback. It's now July. We are well into the year. Where's the comeback? You're a liar. You lied to me back then. You're lying to me today. She doesn't outright say it, but she uses that analogy to basically say, you lied to me and I'm coming for you now. What did you think of this scene?
I think this was like one of the scenes that I actually enjoyed of like them together, where she is hesitant. She has more information and she doesn't really know who to believe, who to trust. And it shows that she's like good at her job. She's not letting her emotions take over because clearly like she does have some feelings for him and everything, right? She's not letting that get in the way of her work. She does give him a little like tip, but he does not like pick it up. And she basically, I think she used that interaction just to kind of solidify her or like ground her. And like
agreed, yeah.
Yeah, she used it to ground her, to give her more insight of like what should she do next. And obviously her next steps are to look into his side and open the investigation. And it's showing that she is on track to being a good prosecutor, like he said.
For sure.
Obviously she thinks he's a liar currently, but I think it was a good moment it was a good stepping stone. It was a great moment for the show to show that she is going to be a competent prosecutor, and that I don't know if it means anything for their relationship, but like for her career, it was a good moment.
And from a writing perspective, it's so nice that the writers told us exactly when she's going to realize that she made a mistake. The minute So Taiji comes back, she's going to be like, wait a second. Like, we can go to the day that she's going to be like, I made a mistake. Because it's going to be that thing. We both know the minute that the comeback happens, that's going to be when it all lines up. 3-0 was lying. There's actual embezzlement. He was to be trusted. I cannot wait for that day. What date did he come back?
September 8th, 2000.
Perfect. 2 months from now, we will be getting the comeuppance for 3-0.
Yeah, I really like how they use like actual historical references sometimes, even though that this show isn't supposed to be a direct correlation. Yeah, they did their research, and I'm excited. I better hear September 8th, 2000.
You want the date. You want the actual date.
Yes, I want it in a newspaper, on a document. When they say it, I don't care. I just need to hear it because it proves that they were doing their homework.
You know what, though? I also want to see her go back to her fangirl self. If she does not fangirl in that moment, you were never a So Taiji fan. Like, what?
I feel like she would. I feel like they have to. Like, showing how big of a fan she was, crying in the window, like in front of the windows.
I'm going to get hyped. Are you kidding? That's a historical moment. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for anybody who did watch our previous episodes, Qomi did promise that she would send me the video. She did. She lived up to her end of the bargain. And that performance was hype with BTS. It was so good.
Dude, he was performing 20 years later. He doesn't even look like he aged. Like, it's crazy.
He didn't age. He actually didn't age. Also, I mean, our boys from BTS, they killed it in that too. I mean, whew. Okay. So we're getting near the end of the episode at this point. So this has all gone down. Jin Do-Jun goes to the chairman and actually calls in a favor. This is a rare moment where he calls in a favor. And the chairman early in the episode was asking him, what do you want? Because he had hinted, because he had earned them 10 million USD through the advertisement, the Y2K insurance advertisement. He's like, you owe me something for this. And he calls it in on a weird thing later in the episode. He calls it in as just he wants a board meeting with the investors of Sun-Young department store. And he's like, that's it? That's all you want? He was kind of unimpressed with that. He's like, you're calling in your one favor. This is it. I'm not giving you anything else. This is your graduation gift. This is your favor. That's it. And he does. Yeah. So he calls the department store meeting. It's a big moment. This is basically the last part of the episode, and a lot happens in here.
Yeah, and it was also a little bit surprising how he didn't even care to know what the board meeting was for. He said, I don't care to know whether you're going to be tricking everyone or you're just pulling a prank. But after this, like, we're good. Like, I don't owe you anything. You just want this board meeting. And I thought it was a little weird because, I mean, I guess like you can see how how much he has distanced himself from his daughter and Sun-Young department. So I guess like I can see why he doesn't seem to care so much. But at the same time, like as you said, he does not really trust him. So I guess like he doesn't care to listen to what he has to say anymore. Just get this favor, one and done, like get out, and I won't have to owe you anything anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Which was also surprising because the moment they led from, he was giving 3O a piece of his mind, saying how she doesn't deserve her life and how lucky she is. I kind of thought he would call in a favor to help the employees and the workers of the Sun-Young department who are being affected, because as you can see in old episodes where he was kind of advocating for them, saying like, oh, employee retention and like kind of looking out for the public. I thought that was where it was kind of going towards, where he was so enraged by her entitlement that he wants to help the workers, and he asked for a board meeting instead. And I was like, oh, okay, they set it up not how I expected it to go. But I mean, it was a board meeting to to discuss the dismissal of the CEO, which is also like a huge thing too. So
I had the exact same thought where I was like, oh, he saw that these people in need. It was almost the exact same situation as his old family, where these rich people are just manipulating the stocks. They're just trying to make more money with no accountability whatsoever.
Yeah, just ruining their lives.
They are not. That's it. They're literally playing with lives. She spent their checks, their pay on further stocks, never paid it back, lost all that money, and they're left as subcontractors. They don't even have rights within the company. Like, they're not protected. There's no severance or anything. They're just contract employees. And so there's nothing they can do. They're out of a job. They're out of that money. They're never getting that back, and no one is going to be held accountable. So of course they're out there. They're rioting. They're rightfully so. They're protesting. So I had the same thought. I was like, well, of course he would relate to this. He would understand their plight. And maybe we haven't seen it yet. Maybe next episode, whatever goes down, he will make sure that those people are okay, or make some statement. But again, it was all right now. It was just words with her, and I was in the same boat. I was hoping there would be a little bit more.
Yeah, especially because like as soon as he got to the building to go to the meeting with Rio, he sees a woman specifically, and I thought they were instantly going to flashback to his mother. But then after their whole meeting and everything, where he tells her that like, you can only sit here like this because you were born into Sun-Young, a lucky chance that those people don't have, because she was saying, oh, I won't let you fool me twice. Like, I won't give you my shares. I'm not gonna let you like take over Sun-Young, blah 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 blah. She is going to sell the hotels, the resorts, the golf clubs, like everything in 2 months and like pay them back. And then he's like, they can't wait 2 months. And like, obviously, like, we're not like rich by any means either, or like, but like 2 months is a long time, especially without pay, without any sort of income.
Yeah.
That, like, even 1 month is ridiculous. Even a couple weeks. So she's like, poor people can't even wait 2 months. That's a them problem. Like, and you see him giving her a piece of his mind, saying how like you are so entitled. And it flashbacks to his old family, where it was such a sad moment where you see how, like, I feel like, I don't know, I got how he was so disappointed in his dad, but I think I
Yeah.
only felt those emotions because you could see him, that last interaction with his family in his old life, where he tells off his dad, saying he's not a real man, and like he was a terrible father. So I felt like it was like disappointment, but maybe it was like more like shame, more sadness.
Both. I think no. I totally get the disappointment, because when he was young, I think he definitely blamed his father for his mother's death. You know, she saw him standing up for this thing that didn't go anywhere, and then he wasn't able to get employment after. For him, that was where it all fell apart. And then for his father not even to be able to provide a basic meal when he was out there, he was selling off the things he loved. He was embarrassing himself to a girl at school.
Yeah.
In that moment, he saw that he needed to be the father of the family, and that's the figure that he took on. He walked away. He had his exam the very next day to get into what I'm assuming is a good university. And he said a line, I don't remember exactly what it is, but he was talking about how he wasn't just walking away from university. He wasn't just walking away from his big exam. That's the moment where he basically accepted that he's just going to get poorer and poorer.
Yes.
Like he was fighting for that right. He was fighting for the right to be more poor, because by giving that up and supporting his family, they would never get out of that hole.
Yeah.
And that was very heartbreaking. Seeing his father steal definitely was
know.
disappointment. It was shame in that moment. He couldn't even eat the food.
Yes.
But I think what I really like about the storytelling here is it's long form storytelling. We're only getting bits and pieces of his past, and a lot of the time that doesn't pay off for me. What really works here is it just gives us more understanding as to why he reacted away in the past. As you said in that first scene, we couldn't really understand why he would act so aggressively towards his dad, and now we get it, but we also see that maybe he regrets acting that way, knowing what his father was going through.
Yeah, for sure. He even like ends off the scene by saying, they say time is fair to everyone, however, time isn't fair, just like everything else in this world, which is true. It was a harsh reality check that is true. Nothing is fair in life. Sucks to suck.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's it though. That's exactly what it is. It unfortunately sometimes it's just the cards don't get played. Like he even said it to 3-0. He's like, you didn't get here because you were skilled. You didn't get here because you are intelligent. It was the luck of the draw. And unfortunately, for almost every other human, the luck of the draw does not play their way. It's brutal. And they keep coming back to these ideas, but again, they ground it in an emotional way, which I really appreciate. You see the realities of it. You see how he's changing things. And so we end up back at this board meeting where he has basically called it, or had someone call it on his behalf, because he's the majority shareholder now. He owns 30% of Sun-Young department store. He is expecting that she will get taken out as CEO because, one, she's up for embezzlement at the moment. Two, she's lost a ton of money. So even if she didn't embezzle the money, she's lost the company tons of money. It would be the right thing to do for her to step down. But of course, she tells her financial director, there's no way that I'm going down for this. Who was the one who actually created these companies? Oh, it was you. Who was the one who didn't sell in time? It was you. She's making Director Im take the fall for all of her actions. And so when it comes time, Director Im walks out and actually says it has been an honor serving you, even though she knows she might go to jail. She knows eventually she will be taken care of because of her loyalty.
Bro, how can you suck someone's ass so hard like that, man? Like, like seriously, how did you not quit in this moment? I
know.
She said she spent 40 years serving her. Like, bro, how do you endure that? I would lose my mind in the first year. What the heck? I mean, so props to her. Very impressive, I guess. But yeah, she said, you're the one that created slush funds. Like, you're the one that did all this. Like, I just signed it up, but you are the director of finance. So should the board decide to sue you, our friendship will evolve into the next level. And Yeah, she has a recording pen. I feel like
Yep.
they have to use that somehow because they showed it. Like, why would they?
They showed it. The minute
Yeah.
it showed up, you're like, of course.
Yeah, like of course she recorded the entire conversation, right? Just like use that type of thing. So even like I even wrote in the notes where like they're trying to get director Im to speak on behalf of Jin Do-Jun, saying like, yeah, she's the one who did everything. I'm like, dude, she suddenly goes missing. She gets kidnapped and like disappears. I'm like, where's the backup plan, man? You have to have a like a fallback plan for like if she doesn't show up, what are you gonna do? I think it might be the pen, right? The recordings. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think if this is a classic K-drama, which it has and has not been, it's gone in directions I did not expect, which I really appreciate. But if it's going the classic K-drama approach, not only will the next episode have the pen, it's going to be like a desperate search for her to get her there in time to be able to speak. I don't think so. I don't think they would go that route because that is much more action-oriented than this has typically been. Yeah. But I could see them going that route. What I do think is more likely is they will have to basically adjourn that meeting, and then they will hold another one. So what I'm hoping is that he was just blindsided by the Seo Min-Yeong angle.
Yeah.
Because I think he knew, like he was basically throwing this down as like, I know it's embezzlement, and they're like, how can it be embezzlement? She's not here to speak. And I'm like, well, that's a weird, that doesn't prove that it's not embezzlement just because she's not here. That's a weird thing. But because stocks and shareholders, basically the entire industry is built off of fear. If you can't prove it in that moment, and the stockholders don't hear that it was embezzlement, they're going to believe otherwise. I guess is what they're getting across. But yeah, basically the episode ends with Seo Min-Yeong showing up and being like, I know, I have proof. It was a false tip. And it's like, what? What?
I was like, how? Like, this is like, there are several moments where she's like, oh, I need to prove it's a false tip. I think I can prove it's a false tip. I can prove it was a false tip. I'm like, bro, I know it's like you're building up the suspense. Like, what do you?
The cliffhanger.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like, what do you mean? How can you prove it's a false tip? But like, I guess we shall see. But dude, when they were getting director Im to come, they made that little scene so suspenseful where like he's waiting for like Mr. O is waiting for her. Yeah, the wave and she waves.
Look down at the phone.
Yeah, dude, I was like, yo. She's gonna be late or something, and then she's gonna get hit by a bus, or Mr. O's gonna get hit by a bus, or they're both gonna get hit by a bus, or like someone's gonna die like this. Like
it was either for me, it was either a kidnapping or truck coon for sure. Like yeah,
yeah, and then
somebody's dying right now.
Right? He looks down, looks up, and she's gone, and he immediately calls the police, say, "Someone disappeared right before my eyes." And I was like, "What the freak? You call the police like that, like instantly?"
I guess, like, to me, it was one of those things that the moment I knew something was up, a scene always starts. You never, in a TV show, you never waste time on pleasantries with, like, nobody says hello when you meet up. You don't go, hey, how are you? Don't do any of that stuff because that's wasted script. In an hour-long show, you have 60 pages. You're not going to waste it on that. The minute I see people walking towards each other, it's like, there's no chance in the world they're getting to each other. Why would you not just film them or her pulling up right in front of him? So something had to happen. And when she gets kidnapped and then he calls, I had the same thing. I was like, did he just call the police right away?
Would they act upon that immediately? I mean, if it's like an active kidnapping, maybe they would like.
Yeah,
right?
He said missing person, and I was like, wait, no, you have to wait. Isn't it like 24 hours before you can report that? But he did say that's someone went missing right in front of me. It's not?
Apparently, it's not true. But I don't
Good.
know.
Good. If I get kidnapped, don't wait 24 hours. Qomi, promise me you will not wait 24 hours.
I promise you, but I'm pretty sure you won't go missing.
You never know. Yeah, no, it was a weird thing, but I appreciate at least he took it seriously. At least he was like, she was taken right before me. Like this is a big deal. What I don't get is why was she showing up in the middle of the meeting? Why wasn't she there hours before? Is that dramatic effect? Because he wanted her to walk in just like Seo Min-Yeong. Why did Seo Min-Yeong show up in the middle of the meeting?
Right? Like,
how does this happen?
I think we just shouldn't think about these aspects too much of it.
You're right.
Yeah,
Suspension of disbelief, good for the dramatic moment. You're absolutely right. She had to walk in. She had to stand beside 3-0, point over at Jin Do-Jun and say, I know you lied to me. It has to be as dramatic as possible. And you know what? I think it'll probably pay off. The episode next time, we will find out what she has on him. It has to be something that can be overturned, obviously, like proven to be false, because obviously it wasn't a false tip. She actually did embezzle. That will be eventually proven, but it's going to be the journey to get there in next episode. I'm hoping, I guess that's my only concern. I'm hoping the entire episode doesn't spend time on that, because we know it will end up being false. And so it doesn't feel like there's stakes there. We know 3-0 will go down. We know that his relationship with her, it may never end up being romantic. It may never end up even having trust, but we know that she will end up finding out that he was right. And so I just hope that it's not the entire episode.
I think even though we expect 3-0 to go down, she's not going to go down that easily. I think it's possible that they can prolong this, because the people with money have so much power. She could totally pull some more strings, and more chaos can happen, and like, I don't know. Either way it goes, I won't be surprised, I guess. But as for like Seo Min-Yeong and Jin Do-Jun's relationship, it's a K-drama. I feel like they're gonna end up having some sort of love happen in between them now. I've accepted it. But also, I don't.
What if she's the one who betrays him? No. No, it's not. That's not her. We know it's somebody in the family.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, I just want to address this because we've talked about it in the past. One's wife. What's her name again? Hyun-min?
Hyun-min?
Okay, so she set him up in this episode. We find out that she's the one who came up with the idea, but she also basically admitted she loves him.
Not loves, but
she is deeply infatuated with him. Like, to the point where even the other like members of the family were like, you're weirdly knowledgeable about this guy. You're married to his cousin. This is weird. You're weird.
I mean, it's just 3-0, and like she was basically like, she said he's incredibly smart, detail oriented, diligent, magnanimous and brave.
Magnanimous.
Yeah, and brave. He's got all the qualities that grandfather would love. Like, she's basically also reminding them that, like, he is a great successor.
He's a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's. I think that's it. Was to me there was two sides. He's a threat. I'm the one who's going to be taking him down.
Yeah.
And also, isn't he great? Oh my God, he's so cute. Like, it was like both. It was both at the same time.
Yeah, it's like the if I can't have him, no one can type of angle.
Yandere. If he can't have him, he has to die.
Yeah, she's definitely giving off a little bit of like psycho vibes when she thinks about him.
Very psycho vibes. But I'm kind of here for it. I really like her character. She's become one of my favorites.
She is definitely interesting.
She's interesting.
I'm glad we are seeing more sides of her, because I totally forgot about her. Like, even when she did show up and like did the elevator scene with Jin Do-Jun and everything, she was kind of just like a brushable character.
For sure. It was, those first scenes were weird with her. I'm glad we've built her out.
Yes.
All right, well, that's going to be doing it for our impressions, though. Qomi, are you ready for good and bad? For those people who are new to this podcast, what we do is I throw a bunch of things at Qomi, and she just has to tell me instantly whether it is good or bad. Qomi, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Y2K, good or bad?
Bad?
Menus without prices, good or bad?
Bad.
Do-Jun's brother's New Year's helmet, good or bad?
Good.
Old headphones.
Good.
And flip phones.
Good.
Good. That's the one that I was counting on. I was like, look, I will go with whatever else you say. Flip phones, I miss them. I miss tactile buttons.
I never had a flip phone. I had a brick Nokia phone, like the
Oh yeah,
basic, like
yeah.
it was like $20 type of thing, like just for a
Yep.
call for emergency type of phones. I never had a flip phone, but it's definitely coming back with Samsung's like the touch flip
The
phone thing.
fold and
This is
stuff.
not
Yeah.
sponsored.
And that's right. Not sponsored. Not sponsored by Samsung. Although, hey Samsung. Yeah, no,
Hi.
I liked flip phones personally. I liked them because
The
I could
sass
type
when you flip
in.
it.
Well, that. Oh my god, it's so satisfying to close it. No, it was the. I was able to type in my pocket without looking.
Yes, I did that a lot, and
T9.
yes. I typed so fast with those keyboards, and just like you just type in your pocket, you don't even have to look.
Don't even need to look. All right, Qomi, that's going to do it for this episode, except we want to do a quick shout out to a YouTube comment that we got. We have been getting amazing YouTube comments, so if you are not already subscribed, please do so. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and let us know down in the comments what you liked about the episode, did not like about the episode, what you want to see this channel do. Qomi, what's a comment that we got this week?
We have a comment from 내 사랑 떡볶이, so means my love 떡볶이, the rice cake,
so
like my
good.
love of 떡볶이. Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know. I thought it was a really cute name. But exactly, this commenter says exactly my thought on Seo Min-Yeong's character. No development whatsoever from the writer. She was supposed to be a bold badass, but they turned her into a character to be unconfident woman who only appeared as a love interest. Basically
Accurate.
everything that we've been saying.
Yep.
And she's and they also say, I know, right? They keep making my girl embarrassed. There's no problem with being the love interest, but how can you make viewers believe that there's something going on with two people when they barely have screen time together to develop their story? 11 episodes have aired, and I think Seo Min-Yeong is the weakest character yet. Wait, was that a little spoiler for us? Because we're only on episode 9. But, so weird because she's supposed to be the main character along with Do-Jun and the chairman. I decided to watch the drama for the actress Shin Hyun-bin, but it's been rather disappointing to see how they waste so much potential in the actress's acting skill. But let's see how they can fix this for the rest of the episodes. Which, we agree 1000%.
Justice for the actress, because she's so good. She's great. She's great. It's only unfortunately, the writing that is letting her down at this point.
Yo, man, how? You know what? I can't get into this. I'm gonna get heated, and we're just gonna go on another tangent again. But
we
agree.
appreciate your comment. Yes.
Thank you so
Let us know.
much.
This is awesome. We've had some great comments on all of the videos. Now, last thing that we have to do before we say goodbye. What is your rating out of 5 for the episode? This is episode 9 of Reborn Rich.
A 3, 3.5 between there. 3.
I'm going to lock in a 3 as well. I thought it was okay. I would even go, so it was above average. It was above
good.
average.
It was a good episode.
It was good. But I think we're getting to the height of the series. I still think episode 10, 11, 12, this is going to be the meat of the series. We're going to get big blowouts. I cannot wait. Any last thoughts before we go?
Do you think director Im would actually betray 3-0 after 40 years of loyalty? I don't know, man. I can see it going both ways, where she can't sever herself from the Stockholm syndrome, but also at the same time she wants to be free because, like, as Jin Do-Jun did say to her, that you are basically what was it? By staying loyal to her, you're betraying yourself every day.
Yeah, I think, personally, if I had to wager a guess, I think she would stand up for herself, because I think this is Jin Do-Jun's way of standing up for his past self. So he'll do whatever he can to make sure that she's okay.
Dude,
Yes.
where the 3 rules came from.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Like, he says those to her and she stops in her tracks, because that must be where he got it from, right? Because it resonated so much with her.
So, do you think they had some sort of connection in his past life? Maybe this is where he picked up the 3 rules?
Potentially. I now that you say that, it's in my head and I'm not going to be able to let go of it. So yes,
Yeah,
I'm going to say
like,
yes.
how did he give her the 3 rules and then she's like, yeah, she stops in her tracks after the last rule. It's exactly what she's been following, her same code. So, like, did they have
possible,
some sort
yeah.
of connection back then as well?
Maybe. Maybe.
He's trying to save her, get her out, but
Exactly.
40 years.
Yeah, no, I hope she stands up for herself because she deserves it. But maybe this is just, reinforcing that you can't escape. Who knows? We're going to find
Stockholm
out.
syndrome.
But good question. Good question.
As always, thank you guys for listening, for watching, for commenting, for liking, for subscribing, like everything. Thank you guys so much for 50. Like, what the heck? Thank you so much.
That's crazy. I actually can't believe it. That's very exciting. I can't wait. And we're going to be doing more content in the future. So let us know after Reborn which series we should do. What should we watch next, react to? We have so much more coming down the pipeline, but that'll do it. Thank you for watching.
Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for everything. Bye.